Good morning, this is Jeff from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 26th of November. This is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com. It's published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts, and I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right, I just finished the crypto pre-market video, and of course I've been saying that actually the rally has been almost pathetic, and we might be forming small bear flags there, which is all it looks as though it might be forming here. Obviously, we've got a very different story on equities. Looking at ES, we saw a strong rally up yesterday. The weak buy signals that we were looking at Friday morning have all made target now, including the ones which hadn't made target yesterday on YM, DAX, and ESTX, and we could be setting up some pretty significant negative divergence here, but we would need a high retest to do that. But I'm thinking we could see that today, and that would set up across the board sell signals, which I'm not sure I'd entirely trust today, because of course tomorrow is Thanksgiving. We've only got a half day on Friday. These things typically tend to have a pretty strong bullish lean historically. But nonetheless, I am thinking that we're probably building up to a pullback soon. NQ hasn't gone quite as well, hasn't actually broken over the declining resistance here, but again we could set up sell signals here. RTY, we have set up a weak sell signal here. It's one of the two, because we've got another one on the STX. It's not something which I'm thinking is definitely going to deliver a retracement today, but I am wondering about that. On YN, we've very much made the target, no negative divergence. DAX made the target, and ESTX, we've got a full 60-minute sell signal which has fixed overnight. I'm wondering about a retracement here, but obviously we will see whether that develops. What I would say about a retracement here is, particularly here on ESTX, if we were to see that retracement, we could well be setting up the right shoulder on an inverted head shoulders, which would, on the futures charts, give us the first really decent looking reversal pattern that I'm seeing here. So that's just a possibility, but it's something I'm wondering about. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay, looking at SPX. Right, yesterday we closed over the daily middle band. Now, I was talking about this in the post yesterday. I was thinking we might get up here. I have to say we got up here very fast, but we closed over the daily middle band, and the hourly, head and shoulder pattern, which broke down on Thursday last week, has failed. So that is half of what I've been looking at for likely to be going higher. The other half is on the Qs, where we haven't managed that yet. Qs have been rallying in a much more muted fashion. We haven't broken over the right shoulder high yet, and we haven't got back to the daily middle band yet either. So this is the other half, and this hasn't delivered yet, but I got to say SPX is looking pretty good for the bulls so far. Qs less so, and I think we need to wait for Qs to do it as well. Qs has been driving the bus for, well, all of this move up, really. So I'm waiting for it, but very promising day for the bulls yesterday. Looking at the 15-minute charts, tiny bit of negative divergence here, but nothing to write home about on SPX. Nothing at all really on Qs, on Dia. Nothing. So I'm thinking that if we see a bit of a pullback, and then a retest the highs, we can set up some nice looking sell signals. At the moment, we don't have any of those. On the buy signal here, we already had a weak 60-minute, weak RSI 14 hourly buy signal here on Dia. We've almost reached target on that, and we have reached the possible there miss target. That head and shoulders also failed yesterday. So hang on, I'll just take the arrow off that now. That we could be forming an alternate head and shoulders, and we could be doing that actually on SPX and Qs, but I think the more damage is done to the upside, the less likely that becomes. And on Dia, I would also note we've got another close back over the daily middle band. All right, looking at IWM. We have a all right, we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal reached possible near miss target, as it has on all of them, but we've seen now a strong break back up over the daily middle band. Now, as as IWM was leading the way to the downside, that again is a bit of a pointer. Was I particularly worried about that head and shoulders breaking down? No, because we've got a backup head and shoulders here. But that backup head and shoulders, right shoulder, is at 246.38. That was a long way away yesterday morning, but actually it's pretty close now. The high yesterday was at 245.55, and this right shoulder high is at 246.38. Break over, get up one more handle here on IWM, and that head and shoulders will also fail, and that means we'll have lost both of them. So we're pretty close to getting a fairly definitive break to the upside here, but we haven't had everything fail yet. We're still holding on the Qs, and we're still holding on this reserve smaller head and shoulders that had broken down initially on IWM. We will see how that develops, but we're very, very close to a fail. Looking at DAX, we've seen a decent rally, but we're still back testing the 200 DMA from below, and we're not close to the daily middle band yet. On Nikkei, this could still very much be a head and shoulders forming. Again, we just went sideways. So we're really seeing a IWM and SPX led rally here. It's not really affecting Nikkei so far. It's not really affecting the Europeans so far. And really, it's not affecting crypto so far. So there are question marks over it, but this could be a bullish confirmation, but we need some more upside before we can say that for sure. All right, let's see how that goes. So anyway, looking at others, DX, we had a little sell signal. It made target. We've now got a weak buy signal fixed, and we're still in the inflection point where we either fail hard or go up hard, and we're still waiting for that decision. Are we seeing anything helpful really on the other currencies? Gotta go with not really. There's nothing particularly defensive. USD JPY is suggesting, looks like a bull flag here, suggesting a retest the high, but actually that's the obvious place to go in any case. Next place on DX, and I think we could be forming a nested double top, second smaller double top there if we do that, but equally we could just be prepping for a move up. All right, ZB. ZB's broken over the range. We had a second sell signal fail. A third one is fixed, which looks, but this one's a full-size one, which looks as though it might actually make the target. We will see how that goes, but I am very much wondering about a possible retest of the high. What I would add, though, is we've got pretty close to the ideal right shoulder high if we are seeing a head and shoulders forming on ZB. So it could be that this is forming the right shoulders. If so, we'll then break below the range next, and I've got that at about 116.08. All right, looking at ZN, really close to a high retest, which is a shame because we've already got a really nice looking double top setup here. I am wondering about a high retest to set up a marginally smaller double top setup. Looking at CL, we saw a bit of a move down yesterday. That was on news of possible peace in Ukraine. I'm going to be writing a post about this over Thanksgiving. But this is one thing I was going to talk about, is the impact on the market if the war continues and if Russians' ability to produce oil continues to be degraded, and how that can actually set up a big spike in oil prices. Looking at headlines yesterday talking about the oil price falling on possible peace coming in Ukraine just underlines that point, that actually one of the big vulnerabilities of the oil market is the possibility that the war is going to lead to much of Russia's production going offline. And as Ukraine has currently knocked out 40% of their refining capacity and is working on knocking out more, that's very much on the table. If Russian oil was to be taken off the market over the next 2 or 3 months, that could oil prices could face a real pinch and a sizable spike. And in that case, getting back to 100, which after all is where the price was at the start of the Ukraine war, would most definitely not be out of range. HO. We've now retraced over 50% here. We're testing the monthly pivot of support. That's holding so far. We will see. RBOB is still testing the monthly pivot of support, or at least we've not seen a sustained break below it. We could hold here, but I'm wondering, particularly if we get more talk about peace in Ukraine. Although I haven't had a look at the revised deal now that it's been heavily revised, and obviously we haven't heard whether the Russians are prepared to consider it, because so far, really, in all these negotiations this year, they've not actually conceded anything of consequence. it would be interesting. Well, I think really we're not going to see a peace plan unless they do start negotiating. I think they've got every incentive to start being reasonable, but that's not their nature really. So I think they'll probably say no, we're not making any concessions, and then I suspect the peace deal will be dead. NG, this really looks like a bull flag forming at this stage. And if that's the case, we're going to see a high retest here. That could be the second high of a double top, or we could continue higher. I'd be leaning towards the second high of a double top. GC, 60-minute sell signal fixed has delivered absolutely nothing so far. This hasn't been heading up higher with the rally on SPX, and actually it didn't go much when the market was going down either. I'm leaning towards this having been a bullish consolidation, and think leaning towards the retest of this all-time high as the obvious next target. SI looks like a bull flag that's already broken up with a target at a retest of the high. On Palladium, nice looking double bottom, not showing much activity. Metal has been pretty quiet the last couple of weeks actually. Platinum, wondering about a further breakup. Looks not really a bull flag, but certainly that's a wedge that's broken up. On HG, I'm wondering about a high retest here, which is a damn shame because we've already got a beautiful double top and we just end up with a smaller double top. We could, of course, break up. I'm leaning towards the downside, but we'll see. Okay, let's have a look at KC. KC, we've got moved back over the monthly pivot. Obviously, the monthly pivot is only the monthly pivot for today and the half day on Friday. So at this stage, I'm not taking them that seriously. But I am wondering about a possible retest of the highs here. Looking at SB, still on the way, I think, to reaching the double bottom target in the 15.43 area. This all looks like bullish consolidation to me, but it could be a double top forming. We will see. But actually, it was already a double top formed here. So there was no. This is more likely to be a bullish consolidation. Chances are we're going to make the target in the 15.43 area, I think. CC, possible bottoming action, could just continue down. Buy signal hasn't quite made the possible near miss target yet. CT, possible bottoming action. We have broken up from this wedge. We could be forming an IHS or a double bottom here. On lumber, we've broken up from the falling wedge. Kind of looks like a bear flag forming at the moment. I'm wondering about a retest to low and then a larger rally. This and cocoa particularly, every time we get a reversal pattern, we see a little bit of a rally and it goes down, and there's good reasons for that. I think that may well just continue. On wheat, possible. Does this look like bull flag? No. Does it look like it might go back up and retest the high? Yes. We'll see. Holding the monthly pivot so far. The week 60-minute buy signal has reached the possible near miss target. On corn, week 60-minute buy signal has now, since I capped this morning, reached the possible near miss target. Actually, it already reached it, so obviously I just didn't. I'll mark that in now. Hang on. All right. So that's reached the possible near miss target, but a little double bottom here, maybe. But not particularly compelling. I haven't marked it in. Soy, week 6-minute buy signal is fixed, hasn't made target yet. On ZL, we've got a little double bottom, which is broken up without a huge amount of enthusiasm, but I'm thinking may well make the target in the 51.70 to 51.85 range. On live cattle, we've got, we went a little lower, but we've got a nicer falling wedge out of it. This really looks like a falling wedge now. I'm expecting this to break up soon into a decent rally. On HE, decent looking falling wedge. Looked better on the December contract, to be honest, but still leaning towards a breakup. We've got a nice looking little double bottom set up here. We shall see. All right, great. Let's have a quick look at questions, of which we have none. All right, just on equities. We're going to see a retracement soon. I think it could be today, but it might not be until next Monday. Certainly, it looks as though we're losing momentum here. So I don't think we're going to see the big move up that we've seen in the last couple of days. I've been mistaken before though, and maybe I'm mistaken here, but it looks as though we might well just have a consolidation day today. And of course, we've got a half day on Friday, which leans bullish marginally. But obviously, it's day after a holiday. I wouldn't expect to see any exciting downside, particularly then. But I am thinking we may be setting up for a retracement here, and we'll see how that goes. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. Everyone have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I will catch you guys again on Friday morning. Take care.